Hello. In the last few tutorials, we saw how we can read and write with text files. But so far, we have not dealt with binary files. Now in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can write data in binary mode into a file. For that purpose, I have declared a double array here named data, and that's actually initialized with 5 different double values. You can see that. So the size of this data array is 40 bytes altogether because each double element takes 8 bytes in the memory. I'm going to write this array totally into the file. That means this 40 bytes in the memory exactly is going to be written into the file in binary mode. And I have declared a file pointer for this purpose, and I have called the fopen function in order to open the file in write binary mode. You can see that the mode is WB. That's important. For write binary, we use this WB. For reading, we should use RB. Now the name of the file is data.bin, and that's in folder data_file, and that's under my user directory, home directory. The name of the file could be anything, and the extension could be anything as well. You can have any extension for your convenience. It's not important that you should give the extension .bin for the binary file. It's not mandatory. And then I have done the necessary file pointer checking as usual. Now in order to write the content of data array into the binary file, what we need is to call the fwrite function. Fwrite is the function that we typically use for writing binary data into a file. It requires 4 parameters. The first one is the address of the object that we want to write. Here we want to write the total array, so the base address of the array has to be supplied as the first parameter. And it has to be casted explicitly to void pointer because fwrite receives only void pointer as the first parameter. And the second parameter is the size of each element that we intend to write. Here the size of double should be supplied because each element of the array is double. And then comes the number of such elements that we want to write. Since the array contains 5 elements, so 5 should go here. How do you only want it to write these 3 elements? Then we should supply 3 here. Since we want to write all the 5 elements, so it should be 5. And the last parameter is the file pointer where this data is to be written, and that's fp for this program. Now how do you only wanted to write these 2 elements into the file? Then the address of the second element should have been passed here. That should be data plus 1. Data plus 1 is the address of the second element. And since we only want to write 2 elements here, these 2 elements, so the number of elements is going to be 2 in this case. But now since we want to write the total array into the file, so it should be data, and here it should be 5. So that's a typical call to the fwrite function in order to write this array. On successful writing, fwrite returns the number of elements that it writes into the file. So we can just go ahead and catch the return value, and that can be done in real life program to check whether fwrite was successful in writing the elements or not. I'm just going ahead and printing the n object into the console. So here we go. We are done with the coding. I have called the fwrite function in order to write the data array, and that's all. Let me just open the Finder. Here we go. This is the data_file folder in my Finder. I am opening the Finder side by side with my NetBeans IDE, so you can just view what is happening there in that folder. On execution of this program, the file data.bin is going to be created here in this folder. So let me go ahead and execute this. So here it is, total elements written 5, and you can see that the data.bin file has been created in this data_file folder. And please notice the size of the file. It's 40 bytes because the size of the array is 40 bytes there in the memory. So the total array has been written into this data.bin file. Now if we try to open this binary file using some textpad or notepad or text editor, then it's going to be garbage for us. it's not readable because any text editor is going to interpret each byte as an information. The practical thing is that each 8 byte is now a complete information. That's the size of the double. So we have written double. So in each 8 byte we have the information. So if the notepad tries to open it by interpreting each byte as a character, then it's going to be really unreadable. It's going to be weird. So let me try to open this. So since the operating system is not understanding what the extension is, so it's not giving me any option by default. So click on open with and then go to other. You'll find some text editor here in your application folder. So we have this text edit, that's the default one for Mac. I'm opening this file with text edit. So here you can see that it's totally unreadable because this text edit interpreted each byte as a character. In order to read this file successfully, what we need is to write another program that's going to read it in binary mode and interpret each 8 byte as a double value. So for that we need to write another program, and that I'm going to do in the next tutorial. Thank you.